welcome to another brand new episode of Dingers and Stingers, the podcast that's lacing up its shoes, stretching its quads, because it's about that time to take a victory lap on the Kyler Murray take from the offseason. He's fired. Goodbye forever. I'm Dallas, that's Drew, and that's Matt. And on today's episode, our NFL episode, for this week, we are going to look. We're gonna tier these teams. We're gonna create some NFL team tiers. We are as halfway as we're gonna get, little over, little under, whatever you want to say. And so we know plenty about these teams. Also, the trade deadline has passed as of recording, so we know who's going to be on these teams for the most part, as far as impact players do. So we figured now is a good time to make some team tiers and put these teams in some groups together. And so we're going to do that on today's show. We'll also take a swing by Fan Corner and make some predictions for the next week of play. So without further ado, though, let's run you down Week 9 in the NFL. We're going to go winners and losers from Week 9. Let's go around the league in 20 seconds, and let's go right now. Winners are the Ravens. Welcome back. Patriots, Chargers, Bears, Steelers, Niners, Broncos, Vikings, Panthers, Jaguars, Rams, Bills, Seahawks, and Cardinals. Losers, Dolphins, the Falcons, Titans, Bengals, Colts, Giants, Texans, Lions, Packers, Raiders, Saints, Chiefs, Commanders, Cowboys. Those are the losers. And so that is Week 9 for you. Kind of a crazy week. Lots of nail-biting games coming down to the wire. I think like 9 one-score games by the end of the whole thing. So general Week 9 feelings before we get into team tiers?
Dude, it was a crazy week. I mean, it's just the league looks full of competitiveness outside of like 2 or 3 really bad teams. Where we see upsets, I don't know, this weekend really felt like we saw it all. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to keep up on my fantasy app. I'm not a guy with cable subscriptions, things of that nature. And they've really cracked down on these streams these days. I find it very difficult to get a good stream. I'll see these games in bits and pieces, but yeah, a lot of action. It's a Tom Petty week in some ways. Even the losers get lucky sometimes. So, another wild one.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt at all. I mean, that Bears Bengals game was crazy. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but we're not going to talk too much about anything else because we are going to talk about every team a little bit coming up here in our segment today. So we'll talk about maybe some crazy games that they participated in this week and trades and all that good stuff when we talk about the team. So let's set it up. We're going to do some team tiers. So we are about to start Week 10, and it's a good time to order these teams and group them together. Like I said at the beginning, we know pretty much enough about almost everybody, I would say, to feel confident putting them somewhere. So let's get to it. Let me lay out our tiers, how we're going to organize this thing. So first tier, Super Bowl ready. These are teams that can make and win the Super Bowl, we think. So, very exclusive tier here, hopefully, that's top tier. Next tier, playoff locks. So these are teams that will not require weird math to make the playoffs, okay? There's not going to be, fifth tiebreaker, who did well against their conference and the division and all that. You're not going to come down to all those things for these teams. We think these are good to go teams for the playoffs. Tier 3, wild card wonders. So these are the teams that can make the playoffs if some things go their way. So this is where, those teams in those, close scenarios, tiebreak scenarios might end up. Also, this could be where teams that have players coming back from injury might end up, that we think might be good. Things like that. Tier 4, frustratingly mid. So these are teams where either the fan base wanted them to be better, or currently wants them to be better because they have potential, or the fan base wants them to be worse so they have a better draft pick because they're not going anywhere. But these are teams where they're kind of sticking in the middle, these frustratingly mid teams, trying to win when they shouldn't or losing when they should be winning. Next tier, going nowhere. So these are the teams that are bad. Uh, you know, just teams that we don't think have a shot to come back this year from where they're at currently. They could have lost some players to injury. They could have, needed to make some moves at the trade deadline and didn't do it. We'll talk about who we put there. And the last tier is kind of the opposite of the top tier, Super Bowl ready tier. Also, maybe an exclusive tier here at the bottom, but Tankathon. So these are the number one draft pick contenders. These are the people who we think will be, vying for that, that top draft spot by the year's end. So having set it up, let's get to it. We're just gonna we randomize the team order, so we're gonna go from top to bottom here, and just start with teams and see where we put them. So it's
I
gonna be a
do
lot of
think
discussion based and everything good.
I do think there might be a better way to start us off,
Okay.
and I think that would be kind of kind of labeling the tier. I know the tiers are literally labeled, but I mean putting one team maybe in each tier that kind of is like this is the kind of team we're looking for. So maybe
Yeah,
like the poster child of each tier, just so we kind of have a guideline to follow. What do
I
you
think it
think,
sounds like
Matt?
a good idea.
I like it. I mean, there's 6 categories. Each of us take two.
Yeah. So do you want to start at the bottom or do you want to start at the top?
Mr. Host.
Let's start at the top. Let's go positive.
All right, Matt, who do you think is a Super Bowl ready team right now? A clear contender?
Right now, guys, don't hate me. I think the Rams are. Like, we're playing good football. We are, outside of a sketchy field goal unit, we are playing all 3 phases well. Um, I mean, this is just a complete team. I think that showed in today's trade deadline. Les Snead did not feel the need to make any moves. He famously made fuck them picks famous. Like, this is a dude who he'll spend his draft capital. And this year he was like, we're good. You know, they made some calls, and at the end of the day, they're like, we like the team as they are. So I, I hate being the one to put them in, but I think the Rams are Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think a big part of what separates a playoff lock from a Super Bowl ready team on our tier list to me is going to be for coaching and for quarterback. Have I seen you do it? And the Rams can check both those boxes, and so I think that is one of the factors that sets them apart. And I would agree, I would put them there.
Yep, I had the Rams here too.
All right, and so I'll start off playoff locks, and we'll just keep on theme here. I'm gonna put my team here because you just put your team in that tier. I'll put the Broncos in playoff locks. The Broncos, and I'll talk about them, of course, in Fan Corner. They have a great defense. They have been the best team in the fourth quarter this year. Bo Nix has some things to figure out. I think that's obvious, but um, he was quite solid last year. He has his moments. He has some fourth quarter magic with him. This is a good, solid team that's currently 7-2 in first place in their division. The schedule does not get significantly tougher unless something goes horribly wrong. I think the Broncos are going to be a playoff team. I think anyone would agree.
Yeah, you don't have a defense that good, and just like and have a record like you do at this point and lose as many games down the stretch that you would need to lose to not make the playoffs. You just it doesn't happen, and so regardless of the offense being maybe a little up and down, the defense is always going to keep you in games, and you don't need that much production on a week to week basis from your offense to make it to that postseason. So I think you're absolutely right. I'd put the Broncos here too.
Well, and let's not forget the Broncos are like a really questionable, penalty away from being the 1 seed in the AFC as a whole.
Hmm.
I think this absolutely makes sense. And by your own definition, Drew, the only difference being, have we seen the coach and the quarterback of this team right now do it before? Not yet, right? Last year they got bounced early, but at the end of the day, like they're still going to be a good team who makes playoffs. So I like the Broncos being a lock here.
All right, that brings us to
Yeah,
our third tier, wild card wonders. Now I'm
wild card
curious,
wonders.
does Dallas have one, or are we going back to Matt?
I would
I can
love
do
to see
one.
if Dallas has one.
I can do one. I think I have a team I'd like to think belongs here. Um, but I'm deciding between two. Um,
If you tell me that one of the teams you're trying to decide between is the Seahawks, I'm
no,
gonna come through the screen and strangle you.
no. Not in this tier for Seattle. No. I want to put the Ravens here. Um,
All
Okay.
right, where are they?
we don't have
There they
to, but
are.
I want to put them here because I think they're a good example of what I might have been talking about, which is if some things go their way, they can make the playoffs. Which being Lamar Jackson's back, we saw what it looks like on Thursday night in Week 9. It looks so much better. Everyone plays better
Yep.
when he's in on the offense. He is an elevator type of player. We always knew that. Two-time MVP, all that good stuff. And so I think the Ravens belong here because right now their record doesn't suggest that they have a very, a great shot. But I think the things breaking their way right now, players are returning from injury. It's not just Lamar Jackson. There are other players that are coming back as well on the defensive side of the ball too that are going to be helpful to them. And I can't live in a world where you know the Steelers go unchallenged in this division going down the stretch. Um, so I want to put the Ravens in this category.
Yeah,
I'm
I
inclined
like
to
it.
agree.
I like it because even thinking about like that division, the whole division sucks right now. Like the Steelers are leading and they're not even that good. Like yes, they just kind of put belt to ass on the Colts, but like the Colts are led by Daniel Jones, lest we forget. And a lot of people, I think, were fooled by this early season thing. But I need to see Daniel Jones be what he was in this first half for an entire season before I'm ready to be like, you know what, maybe he's that guy. Like he hasn't shown what Baker did to reestablish himself. He hasn't shown what Sam's doing this year and last year to reestablish himself. Like Daniel Jones still has some more proving to do. So Ravens, I like this choice right here.
Yeah, and I think they're just in unfortunate position where they are going to need some wild card math and some strength of schedule wins and things like that where they're a better team than this, but this is what they're reduced to at this moment. All right, Matt, do you have one to put into tier four, frustratingly mid?
Yeah, I think to me this is an easy answer. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. I think this is a team that could have been put in this category for the last 2 or 3 years. Um, they absolutely should be better. Through the first half of the season, they had one of the best defenses. Drake London with Michael Penix is one of the top receivers in the NFL, and yet they're picking right now at like spot 12 or spot 11. Like they just don't seem to have any traction when it comes to it. They have no like consistency. I think this is absolutely, if I could think of one poster child for any of these categories, it would be the Falcons being frustratingly mid. Like they are going to finish around 500 eternally. Like this is the Jeff Fisher curse all over. I've been there, and it sucks.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about this category. The Falcons put up certain games where you're like, how are they not leading their division right now? If this is the team they have, like when they beat the Bills. And then they have other games where it's like, oh my God, has this team ever seen a football? Like when they play the Panthers. Um, yeah, I think that's the perfect place for them. I've got a team for going nowhere, which I feel like is almost worse than Tankathon. It doesn't mean the team is worse, but it's a worse tier to be in because you don't even necessarily have that super, super high pick to look forward to. And the team I have for here is the Cincinnati Bengals. And you could make an argument they could be one up or one down or maybe even two up in a certain situation. We were talking about Ryan's hot take a couple weeks ago with that Joe Flacco was going to lead the Bengals to a division title. Um, they are 3-6 right now. Without Joe Burrow, they just do not look like they have it. They had a fun win with Flacco against the Steelers, but that's about it. The defense looks horrible, but they have 3 wins. They win some games that the true bottom of the league does not win. And so I think they can't quite be in Tankathon. They're not in the bottom. Let's see. If we go to the reverse standings, they're like the ninth or 10th pick right now. So yeah, to me, this is a perfect place to put them. Nothing to write home about, but also not terrible enough to really dream on next year's draft the same way some other teams can.
Yeah, man, they're just one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and that was never more obvious than it was in that Bears game. I mean, it's just both defenses quit after a certain point,
Hideous.
um,
Hideous.
but I mean that game, the swings that happened in it in the last few minutes of it, it just showed you that the Bengals just do not have what it takes on defense to like have any hope of doing anything good this year. Um, and, watching the situation they got themselves in, they were in a position to win. They've been in a position to win and maybe even have won kind of, a good portion of these Joe Flacco games. It's just that their defense can't stop anybody. They are dead
Yeah.
last in EPA per play, and by a lot, like by a fair amount, they are dead last as a defense. And so you just look at it and you're just like, it's not something that inspires you to believe that if Joe Flacco can put up, even if he can put up 28 to 30 points a game, which I don't know if that's possible for every game, but even if so, the defense cannot be trusted to allow less than that.
Yeah, and I mean at the end of the day too, like the whole like going nowhere, they weren't even big sellers at the trade deadline. They got rid of a single linebacker for like a middle round pick. Like you got to be able to pick a direction. Are you going to be competitive or not? And I think this is a perfect example of a team that doesn't know. They don't know like what they want to be. So I like it.
Yep, good team here.
All right, the
Um,
last category to get a little representative is the bottom, the Tankathon. Dallas,
Ooh,
you got a number of options here. Who are you going to go with?
well, I'll go if the idea is to set the bar here, right? The tankathon has begun for this team. It began today when they traded Sauce Gardner, and when they traded Quinnen Williams away from their team. I'm going with the Jets. Yes, they are, in this position now where not only by win total and record are they, in the driver's seat for something like the first pick, but they seem to recognize the fact that they are finished this year, and that the people that they should get as much as they can from the people who are not going to be on the next winning Jets team. And so, which, based on the players they traded away, I believe Sauce Gardner might have still had 3 years left or something on the contract he signed, maybe 2 or 3.
brother, he's under control for 5.5 more years.
5.5 more years. So that should tell you how far away the Jets themselves think they are from being a winning team. So the tankathon has begun for this team. The Jets are my pick here, and I think it's an easy call. It's a bad situation to be in when you bench a quarterback and then have to start him because the guy that you wanted to play got injured. It's just, you can't have worse vibes than that. So I want to talk about those trades though a little bit. So if you guys have any thoughts on, because those were the big trades of the day, really, were those couple of
Yeah.
trades. They rocked the world when they dropped.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that the Jets are doing this again. I saw a tweet that was reminiscent of Darrelle Revis. He was traded for two firsts back in the day, right in his prime as a Jets lockdown corner. Obviously, I'm not comparing Sauce to Revis. I think Revis is a awesome Hall of Fame caliber guy. Sauce is still good though. Like he's still a good corner, so nothing against him. But they really, I mean, they stacked it up, man. They got three total first round picks back today, a second round pick. They could have gotten more. I mean, reports were out there that teams were offering fourth round picks for Brees Hall and seconds for Jermaine Johnson, and the Jets just weren't willing to budge. Um, whether that works out for them, we'll see. But I don't know that I've ever seen a funnier trade deadline Twitter account than Brees Hall's today. I don't know if you guys have kept up with that at all. He was he was active to say the least. He was very active on Twitter today, and it was very funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean
saw some of
the
it. Yeah.
Jets, they've been lost for quite a long time. I mean, the longest active playoff-less streak in the NFL. That's going to keep going for sure, at least this year. Um, I like that they picked a direction by selling, and they got two first-round picks plus AD Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. So, are we 100% sure the Colts aren't going to have a high pick next year? I'm not. I'm not 100% sure. So,
Hmm.
um, it could be a good thing, but the Jets don't always capitalize on their draft picks and they don't always get a good team together. So, if you're a Jets fan, I don't have to tell you this, but you know, you can't trust anything. You can't. You can't have hope because what what has there been to give you any kind of hope? So, it's a bummer when this kind of thing happens, but I like the conviction behind the decisions.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's funny too, because like this entire regime of Jets players was built off of back-to-back years where they had five first-round picks. So they're just going to try again with five first-round picks in 2 years and see if it goes differently this time. We'll find out.
We will see. Um, okay. So from here, do you guys just want to go in the order they're in and then put them somewhere? I think that works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just nail it.
Okay, cool. So let's start with the Cardinals. We can see the logo's up. So where do we want to put the old Cardinals here?
My initial instinct with the Cardinals was to put them in the frustratingly mid. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that. I feel like this is a team who's had a lot of high end picks. They've even spent money in the free agency, and yet they just don't seem to ever quite get it going. And I mean, that goes back to Cliff Kingsbury with Kyler Murray, but now they've got Marvin Harrison Jr. They've got, Trey McBride. They've got defensive players. They've got Buda Baker. They drafted Will Johnson, and yet just it feels like there's more they should be doing, and yet they're not. I don't know. That's my initial reaction to that.
Yeah, I'm kind of I agree with that, and I'm almost inclined to put them one lower just
Yeah,
because um, frustratingly mid implies some level of expectation. I didn't really have too much
sure.
expectation. But they've benched Kyler Murray at this point,
Yeah,
but they're still trying. It looks like they're still kind of trying to win these games. So it's like, okay, do you want to build for your next team, or do you think the next team is here? What's the direction? And you could even toss them way up here because there's some math, where there's a world where they win a certain amount of games or whatever. Um, they are certainly a mid team, but I would be more inclined to say they are going nowhere. Dallas, do you care to break a tie?
Oh man, the Cardinals. I'm glad we're doing them first because they were one of the teams I was looking the least forward to having to decide where they go. Because everything tells me they should belong in the going nowhere tier, except watching them play. Um, Watching them
yeah,
play tells me they might go. all the way up in wild card wonders, like because of their defense is putting up good stuff,
Good.
and they do look like a better offense under Jacoby Brissett. So we're only at week 10. There's games left to be played. They do have a that nice NFC West schedule. What I mean to say is the nice schedule that the NFC West has this year of teams that are not very good. The division's playing a lot of teams, so I'd say let's stick them in. Let's stick them in frustratingly mid right now. As of week 10,
Split the
I'd put them
difference.
there. Yeah, I'd put them in there in week 10, and then but Arrow might be pointing up on these guys. You never know. All right.
All right.
Next team up,
Buffalo
Bills.
Bills. I'm
I
Yeah.
like
inclined to put them all the way at the top
I like Super Bowl ready for these guys too.
because I know it hasn't been a perfect year. They still only
Certainly
have
not.
2 losses, though. Uh, I know I talked about the Rams and I said I want to see the quarterback and or the coach having been there, done that. Neither have, but they've come kind of close to the Super Bowl,
Well, and
Um,
they keep beating the team that knocks them out of playoffs. Like,
in the regular season, yeah, they
right.
they
They
can
keep
beat them.
beating them.
Yeah. And so obviously there's that element of it's the Bills. They're not going to get it done, but they'll make the playoffs where you could put them down here. But I think I'd like to keep these pretty equally dispersed, and I think they're definitely in the top tier of teams. Is kind of the way I feel.
Yeah, I'd
The
agree. I mean, it's hard to point to a team that's going to be more holistically well built.
Yeah, and you take their last point on these guys that I'll make is you take their losses. The Falcons lost, no question, that was weird and bad. But the Patriots loss looked worse than it actually ended up being once we found out how good the Patriots are, right? Like once we
Yep.
found out actually the Patriots are ready, that loss looked worse in week 2 or whatever it was when they took it, um, than it is now that we know how good the Patriots are. So I'm not necessarily willing to count that so much against them now. But so yeah, I'd put them up top too.
Yeah.
All right,
All
the
right.
Carolina Panthers.
I think the Carolina Panthers have to be a wild card wonder. At this point, they're winning football. Like, and it's hard to like imagine that under this Bryce Young era of like the Panthers are playing winning football. That's not what we're used to. And yet here they are. They just upset the Packers, and they've won what 4 of their last 5 games, and that one game they didn't win was the Andy Dalton start. Like it's kind of a weird thing going on with them right now, but they're winning football games, and there's a real shot in this NFC that they could sneak into this wild card, like legit. They as of right now, I think they even could be sitting in a wild card spot right now. I'll double check that.
Yeah, I think by nature of their division also, I'd put them here. If some things go their way, they could make the playoffs. This doesn't necessarily mean that they make the playoffs as a wild card, by the way. The Bucks are really hurt, and these some of these players are not coming back for the Buccaneers. And in the last couple outings that they've had before their bye week last week, Baker looked like he was, he didn't quite look as good as he had through the first 6 weeks or so. And so, by virtue of their division, I think the Panthers can go in here as well as some, because that could be one of the things that swings their way is that, the Bucks can't overcome injuries and something happens to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would be less shocked to see them sneak their way into a division title than I would to see the Panthers get a wild card berth. But I do think the spirit of this line is that it's a situation where they could be in the playoffs. I think that's the perfect spot for the Panthers.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Next up.
And just if you're curious, they are technically the 9 seed, but they beat the Packers and they are tied with many playoff teams right now. So they got a good shot at this.
All
All right.
right, Speaking of
They
the
was
team right above them in the
Uh-huh.
standings, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I'm inclined to say put them in the wild card wonders, right? Like this is another team that's kind of on the brink. They're playing good football at times and bad football at others. They clearly have a lot of talent on this team, and this is a first year pairing with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and I think we're starting to finally see some of the fruits of that pairing. And we got rookies like Colston Loveland coming along. I like the Bears. I like the Bears' chances here. They just also happen to play in one of the most competitive divisions, which will make it tough. But we'll see. I mean, the NFC has a lot of really good, like second tier teams, so I think that's going to make it tough. But they
Yeah.
definitely could be right there.
I kind of think with the Bears, I think this is a good place to put them right now because that's absolutely what it feels like. But at the same time, I don't want to be a slave to the record. And they are 5-3. If they were 4-4, would they not be here? And if they were 3-5, would they not be here? So uh, it can really flip in an instant. I think this is a good place to start them off. And if we end up with like 10 teams here and only 3 teams here, I might feel like bumping them down. Um, just depends on their company. But yeah, they're playing good football. They're right in the thick of the playoff hunt. They have the same record as the Lions. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, I'd been like, all right, so the Bears are having a good season. I wouldn't have thought, oh, the
Yeah,
Lions must be doing disappointing. Um, so I think this is a good spot.
yeah,
yeah.
top 10 offense by AP per play. I think this is a good place to put them. Can't argue with it.
And like the number one turnover team, right? Like turnover differential, something
Could
like
be.
that. Yeah.
All
All
right,
right,
next
the
up.
Cleveland Browns, their great logo, that's just their helmet.
I personally, you guys can speak against this. I personally, I think they're going. I do kind of think the going nowhere is actually worse than the Tankathon. I think you'd rather see your team be placed just one lower. They are just in hell. They're in NFL purgatory. Like until they prove that they can do even a single thing correctly, uh, they're going nowhere permanently. I I don't have very many other notes on them. Like it's a really bleak place to be.
Yeah,
How many?
they only have.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dallas.
I was just going to ask how many
Uh,
games has Dylan Gabriel played so far? Do any of you guys remember how many games he's played so far?
feel
I
like
want to say
four,
three.
3.
3 or 4?
I don't know.
Well,
I
he's
want to
he's
say three.
still he's still below Jake Browning on like from a EPA and completion percentage over expected composite score. He's played 4 games and he's still below Jake Browning. And so with a quarterback like that, going nowhere sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I mean they only have 2 wins, but somehow they're situated as the best of the 2-win teams, which means they're actually, if the season ended today, only picking one, two, three, four, five, six, they're picking seventh. So that's not that top 3 pick where you're truly tanking. The good news, if you're a Browns fan, well, hey, you picked a couple of rookie quarterbacks last year. Just throw them out there, see what sticks. But in all seriousness, yeah, they like it's a tough question. Would you rather be a Browns fan or a Jets fan? The right answer is neither, but uh, you can't. At least the Jets, you have a place to look for, a horizon, if you will. The Browns, it's just you're splashing around, drowning.
Well, let us not forget, if you're a Jets fan, at least you have the city of New York. If you're a Browns fan, you're in Ohio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
good
that's
point.
not a plus, not a plus. Okay, yeah, I'm good with the Browns there, no problem.
All right.
I'm bored.
Next up is
Here
the
we go.
Cowboys, and I am I am thinking I'll start this conversation off. I am thinking that they are going to fall into frustratingly mid. And it's it's because it's more of an average, right? The highs for the Cowboys are so high that offense can really throw the ball around, they can make some plays, they can score some points, and their defense has been terrible. Now they did get an addition today, but we talked about it last
Ooh.
week, or they got multiple additions today, but we talked about it. Is this defense really one good trade deadline away from being good? Uh, I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen, but as of now, they are 3-5-1. So they even have a mid result mixed into their games. I would put the Cowboys in frustratingly mid, and I think that's where Cowboys fans have felt, for better or for worse, for quite a while now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, like you said, today they added Quinton Williams and they added Logan Wilson, the linebacker from the Bengals, which isn't saying much at this point. Yeah, they have the second best offense and the second worst defense. At the end of the day, it's the exact same as the Bengals, right? Like, it just feels like a team that has their treads running and is going nowhere. I would almost be inclined to bump them into going nowhere because they also just spent a lot of their draft capital. So like we'll have to see, if these guys turn out to be worth it. But it's like you just gave up a lot of what you got back from the Micah Parsons trade. You basically traded Parsons for a second round pick and Quinton Williams. Is that going to end up being a positive? We'll see. I don't know. I don't know if Dallas wants to tie break this, but
He does.
Yeah, I'd say I would keep them mid. Going nowhere is a little. I just can't put an offense that good and going nowhere. They're going to be able to. Their schedule's not very forgiving, but they're going to be able to win some shootouts. I think. Almost every game they're going to be in is probably going to be a shootout. Just by nature of how bad the defense is, and the offense is good enough to win enough of those to finish around 500 or so. I think, but which would be very frustrating because of how good the offense is. But the defense is just too bad for me to believe in them to go anywhere. So uh, I think mid is just fine for the Cowboys for me.
yeah.
All right. Let's
Next
roll
up, the
Detroit.
Lions. I have the Lions as a playoff lock. Um, I need to see them win a big game, to be honest. Like, I think that they're going to be there. I think they'll be one of the top seeds potentially. Um, at this at this rate, I do think that they'll even be the top seed in their division. They'll probably win it, but I don't know. They seem to fall apart, and they have really heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. It's not like they go in and just get absolutely like wrecked, and it's like, oh well, at least we have we know what we can address. They just give up huge leads. Like they fumble their own games away. So I have them as a playoff lock. I'm not ready to put them in the Super Bowl tier yet, but obviously end of season that could change.
Yeah, I would be. I have them in playoff lock as well, and I would honestly be more. I would give more consideration to wild card wonder than I would to Super Bowl contender. That's how I feel about the Lions right now, or Super Bowl ready. I'm sorry, they are a contender, I think, but Super Bowl ready. Um, yeah, I mean, it's back-to-back years of blowing it in terrible ways in the playoffs. We've seen Jared Goff, we've seen Jared Goof. Which one are we gonna get?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think they're certainly solid enough to be a playoff team, but not ready to put them in that top tier. No.
Yep, I'll stay with this. I'm with you.
The Packers, the Cheeseheads.
The
Um,
Cheeseheads.
at the beginning of the year, I think a lot of us would have been like right up here. Um, since then, their star has fallen a little bit. They've lost to some teams that you didn't think they'd lose to, or tied a team that you didn't think they should tie. Um, but in the end, I think I'm still putting them in playoff lock. I think that's where I would start them out, um, because they started off strong. Jordan Love, I don't really know what to make of Jordan Love. Certainly not Super Bowl ready, but he's shown me some good things. He's shown me some terrible things. At the end, I think I just kind of believe in this Packers team. I thought they were good at the beginning of the year. I haven't seen too much to make me think they're like gonna miss the playoffs altogether. Um, I could be convinced wild card wonder, but it feels kind of weird to do that to a team that's 10 weeks in and in first place in their division. So I think I'm going to put them as playoff lock for now.
Here's the thing, and this might be too hot of a take, and it's crazy, but they are one game separated from third place in their division, who just beat the Lions, and the Vikings are the 10th seed in the NFC, right? Like they are pretty far down there, and I don't know. I think the thing that stuck out to me when you were talking about frustratingly mid, right, is the expectations. I would
Mm-hmm.
almost be I would almost be willing to say that Green Bay's been frustratingly mid. I mean, you saw what they just did against the Panthers. And no disrespect to the Panthers. I mean, clearly they're in the wild card wonder section, but like that was a game I would have bet the house that the Packers are going to go in there and win 34-14. Like I would have bet the house on that. Their offense is too good. The defense was supposed to be really good, and they just can't do anything. And Jordan Love just throws Hail Marys to wide open defenders. Like it's it's kind of this weird thing that they do. I think the Packers are supposed to be better than what they're doing. And 5-2-1 is not bad. Let me put that out there. I just, in comparison to their expectations, I feel like they should be so much better. I don't know.
That's absolutely fair. I think I'm getting caught up in the titles and their place in the standings. The Packers have played a mid season, but I struggle to put a team in the mid tier if they only have two losses. You know,
Two and a half.
yeah, I guess that's where I'm getting hung up. So I guess it's up to once again Dallas to break this tie.
I think we should split the difference here, and put them in the wild card wonder round. I think that because uh, now I'm convinced to actually split the tie and put them in playoff locks because that's where I would have them if I'm being honest. Because the offense is just yes, Jordan Love makes weird decisions and he did a lot of it in the Panther game for sure. We saw it, but um, there's still like a really efficient offense the season wide, and I think that continues. The defense is actually not very as good as we thought it might be. But so let's just keep it calm here, split the difference on the Packers for now, and put them in the wild card wonder round, tier. Um, I think that's good for now, if it's up to me. All right,
Sweet.
All right, let's
next
do
up,
some rapid fire ones.
yeah, lightning
Anyone see
round.
anyone obvious? Obvious for any category. Let's go for it.
Uh, Dolphins going nowhere.
Yeah,
Yep, 100%.
I think
Saints,
Seahawks playoff lock.
I think that's where I would have the
yep.
Seahawks as well, and I think it comes down to the quarterback again. Is keeping them out of the top tier. I would put.
Uh,
I know, I know, but I would
I
maybe
would
this
too.
maybe it warrants more discussion. But I would put the Eagles in Super Bowl ready. We saw them do it a year ago.
Yeah, we could
Um,
come back to that.
we all agree here on that, by the way.
okay, well that's good.
Uh, I think the Saints are in Tankathon.
I agree.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
Saints are in
think the
They
Tankathon.
Titans
sold.
are in Tankathon.
Yep.
Titans are in Tankathon.
I think that the
Patriots.
Commanders are frustratingly mid.
Commanders, frustratingly mid. I think they were the second one you could have used as an example for how frustratingly
Yeah.
mid. And they're going to be without Jaden Daniels for we don't know exactly how long, so that's not nothing. Patriots,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they have played their way into playoff lock at this point.
Yep.
Are
I
they
think so.
sitting atop the AFC, or is it still technically the Colts? Um,
Uh,
Either way, they have the same record.
it's the
Yeah.
Colts.
Okay. I would put the Raiders down in Tankathon at this point, or do we think they're going
I
nowhere?
would almost argue it's going nowhere. They didn't really sell or make too many moves. Like they have a lot of money tied up in older players. Like to me, this is not the type of situation you'd be ecstatic about.
Yeah,
Also, the return of Brock Bowers kind of showed that offense can look a lot better than it's looked without him. And so, while I don't think that will be enough to push them anywhere significant, I don't think that they'll end up contending for the number one pick by the end of the year. I don't think so.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay.
I
Giants going
that's
nowhere.
fair.
call.
What do you think?
They're one of these bottom two, you know.
Yeah, they have to be, but I
Defense is
part of
good.
me genuinely believes that they would have been good had Neighbors and Scadaboo stayed healthy.
Well, okay, here's what I'm thinking, because we like what we've seen from Jackson Dart
Yeah,
to some extent. They've had some injuries. They only have 2 wins. I don't think they're
Yeah.
going nowhere because I think they now see what the direction of their team is. I think they're in a
yeah,
position where let's try to get as good of a pick as possible. We don't need to spend it on a quarterback. Um,
yeah,
I think I would maybe put them down here because, like you said, Matt, I think this is actually a worse tier to be in than the bottom tier. Um,
yeah.
I kind of think that will be our last team at the bottom. One of these four
Yeah.
teams will have the first pick. Now, my money would not be on the Giants, but I don't know.
Well, we can get back to that. Call this a hot take if you want. I think that the Chiefs would be surprisingly mid, like frustratingly mid. As
I
of right
think
now, they are outside of the playoff picture. They continue to lose games. Patrick Mahomes just had the worst game of his career if you're looking at completion percentage. Like, this is a team that everyone said, except me, everybody said was going to win the division and they're going to be a playoff team and they're going to be so good. And, like, yeah, they're right there. They're on the bubble. But I don't think that the Chiefs being on the bubble fits what they have as an expectation. I don't know.
absolutely not.
Obviously, they could be a wild card team, but, like,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, they lost to the teams in the wild card above them. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Jaguars. They lost to the Bills. Those are the three teams in the playoffs ahead of them. Uh, did you guys play them already?
no, not yet.
No, so you haven't played them. But I mean, like the Colts, Patriots, and Steelers are the only other three teams. But like they're the 8 seed, and they lost to the seventh, the sixth, and the fifth.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. Do I think that the Chiefs are better than the Panthers, who are on a higher tier? No, I do not. But I think these two teams had wildly different expectations going into the year, and I think this is actually fair. I do think they could make the playoffs for sure, but I
Of
think
course.
this is what you would have to say. And I think if the Chiefs do sneak into the playoffs and we do another tier list, I would have them at the top despite how they played because I've seen them in the playoffs every year. But I think for what you're looking for in a tier list, this is the accurate place to put the Chiefs. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it.
The,
Yep. I was
at
going to
this
say the
point,
Colts, so
I'm
let's go to
putting
the
the
Colts.
Colts in playoff lock.
Have to.
They've
Have to.
just they're the top seed. You got to
Yeah.
do it. Uh, do I believe in Daniel Jones? Not really. That's why they're not in the top tier, despite getting Sauce Gardner uh, and having the best record in the AFC to this point. Uh, that is where they should be.
For me,
Now
division
Yeah.
the
also plays
Texans are
into
going to,
that.
and that's the Texans are part of this conversation because they were everyone's preseason pick to win this division. at least on this show, I believe. But they are 3-5. So Matt, where would you have the Texans?
I feel like I'm like just saying the same thing. To me, they're frustratingly mid. They are just they are falling under expectations, and yet they are 2 spots out of the playoffs. Right? Like it's just one of those things. At the halfway point, it's hard to look purely at the record, but it's more so in my head, where are they seated right now versus where I thought they should have been. It's kind of
Yeah.
how I'm viewing this.
And what's the
Um,
vibes in these on these teams? Like, I don't think the vibes in Houston are necessarily that good. I think they thought they'd be better, and they're not.
yeah, 100%. I think there's definitely some questions that need to be answered there, for sure. And I think that their division is so much better than they even thought it would be that they're kind of like almost like taken aback. I mean, they've got, we thought this was going to be the worst division in football, like I think pretty clearly. And two of the teams are in playoffs, and not even the team that we thought would be.
Mhm.
Like, but to me, that's pretty crazy. Which, yeah, like you're showing right here, Drew, I think that inherently that means the Jaguars have to be a wild card team.
Yeah. They're in a wild card position right now as we
Yep.
speak. They have some impressive wins, but I don't think any of us would be ready to put them in the lock, and certainly not in the Super Bowl ready conversation. So that's where they will go. Chargers are kind of an interesting one because they are also in a wild card position. You could easily put them in wild card wonders, but I don't know about you, Dallas and Matt, but I think the Chargers are better than these other wild card teams in a lot of ways. They beat the Broncos, who are the team they're trailing in their division, on a last second field goal. Justin Herbert just has such an arm on him, man. I know that's not the point of this, but I just, was thinking about it. Um, I feel like maybe this is my division rivalry bias, but I feel like I would be pretty surprised if the playoffs start and the Chargers are not a part of it. What do you guys think?
I mean, dude, we could revisit the receipts here. I had them winning that division. I believed that they were going to be the top seed out of the AFC. It's not looking great as a prediction right now. Obviously, losing both their offensive tackles hurts. But I absolutely believe that they are a good team. And so, yeah, I would be willing to put them as a playoff lock. I would be shocked looking at these teams right now if they were to fall out.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with the Chargers here. I'm a Herbot, whatever you want to call him. I'm in the camp.
The Herb Hive.
So yes, I'm in. So I'm good with the Chargers in there. I think they'll make it.
All right, four teams left, and they are four of the trickier ones. We don't need to discuss them too long, but they all have their quirks. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings, who I believe have the exact mid record. What do we think about them?
I'd
I'm
put them
going to
in. I
say frustratingly mid.
Yes, especially considering, how good the defense is and how it was like this is a defense that you want to put a first year quarterback into, and to play with. And then things have just gone haywire for them. And there's not really anything super inspiring coming out of that offense right now.
And I was going to say, I think the other frustrating part is, they made the active decision not to bring Sam back. And last year, they were the number 2 seed. And then this year, all the issues that they've had, like, I think it's almost frustrating because they chose this, knowing what they had last year as well. And we're seeing what Sam's doing in Seattle now. He's just proving once again how good he is. Um, they chose to let it roll. There were teams calling last year offering multiple picks for JJ McCarthy. Like verified sources saying that they could have recouped multiple picks to trade JJ McCarthy and stuck it with Sam. And you can make an argument that they would be a top 2 or 3 seed in the NFC right now.
Mhm.
Right? Like Last year, they lost to only two teams, the Lions and the Rams. That's it. They beat every other team they played. So, considering that was their season last year, it's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. Steelers, they're an interesting one. They've been leading their division basically all year. I think I'm going to put them in wild card wonders though, because tier wise, I do not think they're in the same tier as any of these teams. Um, but they have such a division lead at this moment that they can't be below the Ravens. Like they're ahead of the
Hmm.
Ravens
Yeah,
by a decent margin. So,
Yeah.
I think this is the place for the Steelers, and it's like part wishful thinking, part like my football brain just breaking. Like the Ravens, like the Bengals, we thought for a second maybe they'll catch them. That doesn't seem to be the case. It's
No.
got to be the Ravens, right? Like it can't be the Steelers dominating this division. But that's where we're at right now. So we're gonna put them in the tier below, put them in wild card wonders. And if you're just like, I don't think anyone would do this, but if you're just tuning in now, within the tiers, they're not in any particular order. It's just the tiers
Right.
themselves are
Right.
the thing.
Yes. Not
Um,
anywhere.
okay, let's save the 49ers for last because I know you two will have some thoughts on the 49ers. What do we make of the Buccaneers, who are also leading their division?
I think the Bucks are a playoff lock. At this point, I believe that they'll be better than the Panthers, and they're already the number two seed in the NFC. Um, they're only going to get healthier at some point, getting Godwin, Evans, Ibuka, Bucky. Like, they're going to get these guys back. Um, and Baker started the season hot. Like, he was a top MVP candidate in the early runnings. And yeah, I think, again, this is just another team. I would be shocked if there were playoffs and they weren't.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm
Me
inclined to
too.
agree. I know it'd be fun to dream on the wild card Panthers somehow doing something there, but um, I think it's going to be the Bucks, which leaves us with the San Francisco 49ers. And they are currently, let's see, I know you guys probably know off the top of your head, they are 6-3. They're in a distant third place behind the two teams tied for first place in the NFC West. Where would you put the San Francisco 49ers?
They're
Dallas,
going
I'll
to
let you
be.
go first on this one.
I would put them in the wild card wonder category for me. The reason I do that is because I think that the Seahawks and the Rams are going to make playoffs, and so that already means they'll have to be a wild card team. And then some of these other teams, I think they'll be on par with some of these other teams and competing for those wild card spots. So I think they can make the playoffs if some of these other teams, like that could fall to their level, like the Packers or even the like the Panthers or something, like the Bears too in there. Like if those teams can lose some games and the Niners can win some games, I think that the Niners can make the playoffs, and I think the Niners can win more games than say the Panthers or the Bears down the stretch, and make it in.
Yeah, I was almost inclined to put them in as a playoff lock just because they're doing this again without their quarterback who they deem so valuable. They're doing this without Fred Warner. They're doing this without Nick Bosa. Like this is a good team who's still finding ways to win games. And you look at the teams who are not in playoffs. Are the 49ers better than the Bears? I would be inclined to say so. Are the 49ers better than the Panthers? I would be inclined to say so. Are they better than the Vikings? Hard to say, but at this point, probably. Are they better than the Cowboys? Yes. Cardinals? Yes. Falcons? Yes. So, like, they're better than the teams below them. So that almost inherently makes them a playoff team in my head. And, you joke about the distant third place. They have a tiebreaker over the Rams at this point. Like, we'll see how our next
Seattle
game against
too,
them goes this
by the
week.
way.
But, like, Yeah, so I mean, like, if it comes to a close race and they have the good, division record, they could accidentally, easily hop over the two of us and become
Yeah,
the 2, 3, 4 seed, forcing us to play wild cards. So it really is such a jump up. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
I'd be hard pressed to say that they're a tier below where I would put the Rams or the Seahawks, and we have the Rams and Seahawks in Super Bowl and playoffs.
yeah. I think you've changed my mind. I think you're right. I think they are a playoff lock for me because I kind of did forget that they have a tiebreak on both the Rams and the Seahawks right now. So, yeah, I think that that makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of ugly um,
It
because
is
we move
ugly
into the
now.
second row.
The 49ers are ugly, let's be clear.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm bumping the Seahawks down.
let it
Um,
be known that the 49ers made it
so,
ugly. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
all
whoa.
right, that's our tiers.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Dang.
Well, that was really fun. Hopefully you enjoyed, listening. Hopefully you watched because we were moving stuff around and, doing fun stuff with the graphics and the visuals there. So hopefully you're watching. So super fun exercise. I think we got it right. I didn't count the teams we had in the between the Super Bowl ready and the playoff lock one, but I'm pretty sure we came pretty close to 14. So, between those two. So, who knows? Maybe we got a good portion of the playoff field right by the season's end. We'll
I'm
see.
pretty sure we had
We have a
17.
we have 11 in between Super Bowl ready and playoff locks.
Yeah.
And then so the last three spots will be
Fuck,
from
Drew, can you bring the screen back up?
yes.
Because I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this because if we have 11 in those top two, that means we have to pick three of the frustratingly, or of the wild card teams.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Of these to make the playoffs. Yeah.
Well, granted, we would, in theory,
One
supposed
of
to
them
break it
has to be
down
the
AFC and NFC, but
one of these would have to be one of them too, Ravens or Steelers, because one of them will be in the playoffs. That's the rules.
Right. That's how it goes.
really?
But yeah. So who's to say? But yeah. So I mean, I
Okay,
think
so
I was just saying that
out
to
of
say
the
I thought
wild
we did
card
pretty good.
spots, there we have one space in the NFC. So between the Panthers, Bears, Packers, only one of those gets to go. And then in the AFC, we have also only one spot. So,
Jags are in. You made it, Jags. Congratulations.
You did it.
Um,
okay, right now, I'd like to hear each of your thoughts. One AFC from that wild card and one NFC, because there's three of each.
It's Packers
yeah.
and Ravens easily
Uh,
for me.
I think. Well, I think the Steelers are gonna make the playoffs because I just don't think they're gonna screw up bad enough to waste how they started compared to these other teams. And then yeah, I am inclined to say Packers. But my heart's pulling for the Bears. I don't. I like Chicago. I kind of want the Bears.
Yeah, I was gonna go Bears too. I just think the Packers, the way they lose is way worse than I think the way the Bears lose right now.
There.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, go Ravens.
Ravens life. All right, so that was really fun. I think we have some time for some fan corner. What do you guys think? I think so. So let's do it.
Well,
I want
I'll
to,
keep it brief.
yeah, yeah, sure thing. We want to keep our listeners in mind here, for sure. So let's start with the Broncos. Let's go. Let's go with Denver.
Yeah. Beat the Texans. Another. I mean, not as insane, but another fourth quarter comeback for Bo Nix. Another game where through three quarters, really, the offense does not look strong. And it's concerning. It's not what you want. It's a reason why they are not in the top tier of teams despite having one of the best records. Um, but I am getting a little bit of a vibe from this Broncos team that's kind of reminding me of a very famous team um, from 2011, and it's the Tebow Mania Broncos. Um, Tim Tebow was famously terrible, and then the defense would keep us close enough so that he could have some fourth quarter miracle drive where we win the game. That was happening a lot. That's kind of what's happening with the Broncos right now, except for Bo Nix is indisputably better than Tim Tebow ever was. And
Well,
so,
as a football player,
right, not as like, like a role model or,
a
whatever.
baseball player.
Uh, oh yeah, I guess, yeah, he played that. Um, but yeah, so, is there parts of this season that are incredibly frustrating and I want to see improvement? Yes, of course. But wins are wins, and I kind of feel like Bo has a little bit of magic to him, which is it's kind of nice. Um, got the Raiders on Thursday night this week, so I'll tune into that. I have Amazon Prime, so I can watch that one. And yeah, let's just keep it rolling, keep winning. Didn't make any moves at the deadline, even though some people speculated we might be in on some people. It sounds like we looked into Jalen Waddle and the asking price was too high. I'm honestly fine with that. I don't want to mortgage the future. We've been doing that in recent years, and we've been able to get out of it. But I feel like this team has the pieces it needs. I don't think there was anyone we could add at this deadline who would have made us instant Super Bowl favorites or anything like that. So let's just ride with what we have and keep getting better. And got a short week this week playing the Raiders, and then I can tune out the football for the whole weekend. I'm going out of town. It'll be great.
Ooh.
But I'll definitely talk out of my ass next week about all the games I watched.
Oh yeah. Just before we move on to the Rams, if you'd ever like to mortgage the future again, your favorite bank in the Pacific Northwest is always open, buddy. Um, let's go to the Rams and talk about what's going on in Fan Corner for the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams came out of the bye and looked really good. Puka came back. He looked really good. Stafford looks really good. And yeah, I think the Rams are in a really good spot right now. Again, our real only weakness this year has been our field goal unit. But, we've already seen Sean McVay came out and said this is not going to continue. So we'll see if we see any coaching changes. They signed our old long snapper back to the practice squad. He was a multi-time Pro Bowler back in the uh, Bones days. If you know Coach Bones, he's a special teams legend. So he's back with us. We'll see if he ends up playing or if he's going to be more in like a mentor role. But yeah, I mean, you're pretty much just like nitpicking and cherry picking issues if you're talking about like field goal blocking. Like, yeah, we don't block well on field goals. It's like, okay, but we're also like one of the best defenses, one of the best offenses. Outside of some of these like top games, it really doesn't actually impact the game too much. And we're good in the other aspects of special teams. I mean, we're arguably the best kickoff team in terms of average field position, and so there's all sorts of stuff like that. The Rams are doing good. We made one small move for Roger McCreary, the corner from Tennessee, former second round pick. We gave up a fifth and got with him a sixth. So really not a ton of change there, especially if you think about a Rams fifth is probably not that far away from a Titans sixth, maybe a handful of picks. Uh, so we pretty much got him for nothing. And there's a good chance he becomes one of our very clear starting corners. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, things are going good in the Rams universe right now. We've transitioned to being a heavy 13 personnel team, which for those of you who are unaware, uh, when you talk about a personnel package, the first number is talking about how many receivers you have. The second number is talking about how many tight ends you have. So 13 personnel, one receiver, three tight ends. There's a few teams who use it pretty often, and the Rams used it more in our game against the Saints than Sean McVay had in his entire career in terms of plays in that personnel package. And he had started dipping his toe into it against the Jaguars, and lo and behold, Matthew Stafford looks like a god out of this personnel package right now. Our run game looks better, so yeah, I think Sean McVay might have found something here, and NFL beware, you got to figure out how to stop this new personnel package for the Rams.
Yep,
Just ban
no
it.
doubt, no doubt. They look good.
Just
Yeah,
ban it. Just
yeah,
just ban it.
ban it is good. I like that approach. Um, okay, so round out with Seattle here. Seahawks are officially good, um, which is terrible. Um, Offensive Player of the Year, JSN, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Grace Abel, MVP, Sam Darnold, Coach of the Year, Mike McDonald, all very much in play this year. I'm not saying that they're all most likely options to happen, but they're very much in play this year, which is makes me distraught. Um, this is the win against the Commanders this week that pushed me over the edge um, into caring very much. I'm not you know gonna lie and say I'm not always interested. I'm always very interested, and I watch most weeks every season, back game back to front. But this is the first year in some years that I am caring about what happens. Oh, and that just makes me sick because I don't the thing that's hard about it, and I've said this before, so I'll keep this part short, but I just really want to make it clear. Outside of the Rams games, we are not going to know how Seattle stacks up against playoff opponents until the playoffs come, and that is scary to start caring if you don't know if you don't know how they're going to stack up against playoff opponents until the playoffs get here. But you know, they're a team that I think in the games, considering the games against the Texans now and the game here against the Commanders, they're a team that looks pretty upset proof. Like there's not going to be, I don't really foresee Titans doing something weird and beating us. I don't really see, that happening to this team. So that's another step for me of like they are good enough to avoid those kind of situations, and I can reasonably expect them to win the games that they're going to be playing against a lot of the teams that they have on the schedule left. So I care now, which is very scary always, but I'm having a lot of fun watching the Seattle Seahawks this year. I almost like on Sunday night. I almost turned it off like in the middle of the third quarter because it was getting kind of boring. And I was like, let's get the bedtime routine started early. Like I didn't know when this would be over, so but let's get it going. And then I was like, you know what? No, I have forced myself to sit and watch so many frustratingly close games that they lose over the course of the last like 4 or 5 years. I deserve to sit here and watch them finish this, three-score victory. So I let myself just sit in it, which was really nice. But yeah, so this week was good. It is Cardinals week. I think they're better than their record. And they always play Seattle tough, so who knows what could happen here? But I have faith in Seattle to win. So I'll take them in pretty much all the games from here on out, except for those Rams games. I won't make a pick there. But yeah, so I'll take them from here forward. Okay, so real quick, let's make some predictions. We want to get something on wax here for the listeners to track here. So last week, I don't think either of your predictions hit, right? Unless you made a trade in the league I'm not in, the fantasy league I'm not in with you guys. Did you?
We did. We did
Okay.
today.
All right. Okay. So Matt's prediction last week was that Drew will make a fantasy trade with him. So what was the trade? Give the details real quick.
So this is in a dynasty league, run by our good friend Matthew Robertson. Me and Drew went back and forth a handful of times, basically on the same trade, just figuring out the exact draft picks that we wanted to include. But at the end of the day, this was a trade. Uh, Me and Drew in this dynasty league are like two of the worst teams by record. Uh, I actually like both of our teams, but by record are like two of the worst teams. Uh, I traded away Cam Scadaboo and I believe a second and a fourth round rookie pick this year. And I'm going to be getting back Brees Hall and a third and a fourth in 27. So I get some future picks, and I get a running back now. And Drew gets Cam
That's awesome.
Scadaboo
That's awesome.
and some picks.
And let me tell you, if you think our league is tough for the waiver wire, this dynasty league where
Right, right,
the draft was 26 rounds,
right.
there's no one ever. There's not a soul.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You
Well,
got
good
like
deal.
people
Good
were
trade.
excited when like Tyler Shuck became a starter.
Yeah, that kind of thing is
Hot,
that'll get you impressive.
what's the guy's name? Hosmer or whatever who came in that Carson Wentz game. He got picked up like that.
Mhm.
Good. Well, yeah, I grow more and more, you know, grateful for my decision to not join you in that league. The more I hear about it, but including the fact that you can trade picks 2 and 3 and 4 years away, that just makes me ill to think about, having to think about. Okay, so good prediction, though. So good prediction. That's a hit from last week. But let's make some predictions for this week. Drew, what's your prediction for this week? Week 10.
Yeah, my prediction is that so the Jets and the Browns play each other. Two of the worst teams in football for most of my entire life. I think they're going to combine for at least 80 points this week. I think their offenses are just going to go off, or at
Yeah,
least one of them. Maybe
yeah,
one of them will score 70, and the other one will score 13. I don't
Football
yeah.
know.
teams don't score 70. That's not real.
It's happened. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, it's happened. Um, and we're all so much better for it. But the thing is, I'm just expecting a bloodbath. I mean, there might be bodies on the field, like,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about the guy tore his ACL. I'm talking about he's stomped dead because these teams, this rivalry is just so intense, and the fans care so much. Um, I just think it's going to be a shootout, and you know, we're going to be talking about it for years to come.
Counter prediction: the Jets Browns game combines for less than 10 points.
That would be
Yeah, no,
hard.
I don't see that happening.
That'd be difficult to do. I'd say combining for less than 10 would be harder than to do 80 plus. But we'll see. Against those two defenses, like we'll see. Okay, so Matt, prediction for this week, please, if you would.
Yeah, my prediction for this week is that the Seahawks, unfortunately, are going to lose badly at home to the Cardinals. I know you just said that you were upset proof, but I don't even know if it'd be an upset against the Cardinals at this point. They looked good against an explosive offense. Jacoby Brissett feels like the type of quarterback that is just built to beat good teams and make them mad in like meaningless games, essentially. Um, I could see this one kind of slipping away. You know, love you, Sam. Maybe this is a tough game for you. Uh, who knows? I know Mike McDaniel or McDonald doesn't have a great record at home. This is a home game.
Mhm.
So maybe the Cardinals come up there and kind of give the Hawks a little BTA, a little belt to ass action. I'm predicting 2 to 3 possession game, 2 to 3 possession loss. Go Birds.
Interesting. I will say in your defense here, in your case, the Seahawks defense has proven that they can survive without a lot of players this year. They have not yet had to prove that they can survive without Ernest Jones, who I assume they will be without this week and potentially the Rams game as well. So that could be a factor. So keep an eye out for that. But I think that'll do it for us for this week. So thank you for listening. Thanks for watching our team tiers. That was a super fun thing to do. So let us know where you think we got it right and where you think we got it wrong in the comments. If you are a audio only listener on Spotify, I'm sure you can, like us or review us or do something over there.
Yeah.
That's good. So, go ahead
Technically,
and
you can also watch the video on Spotify, so just tune in for it on this one.
If you're on your commute and you're listening to this on Spotify, I hope you brought your pen and paper to keep track of where we put each team in the tier list, because that's
Because
important.
better than watching your phone while driving is writing extensive notes about a tier list that we
Yeah.
talk.
And make sure if you forget one, just don't worry about like looking at the mirrors or out the window or anything. Just make sure you go back, 15 seconds. Spotify has that button. Um, really, get both hands on there if you need to.
mhm.
Just make sure it's done.
Yeah.
100%, 100%. But if you are an audio only listener as well, just pop over to YouTube if you can. Subscribe to us there. Like these videos, share them around. We got shorts coming on YouTube for you. If you want to watch those, they are little, our little bite-sized versions. We're gonna go ahead and put some of those out there. So watch those too. And follow us on Instagram. But until next week, we will talk to you then. Take care. Goodbye.